Hi there guys and welcome. These are your handover videos for your Coachman Lusso 2. These are a basic walkthrough on how to set up and operate the van as if you were coming on or off site. So starting off first, we have your black hitch head here with silver lever that you have to have pulled up like so to then be able to wind down the jockey wheel onto the tow bar, causing that to snap down, pushing up that red button and exposing a green ring. You have your breakaway cable just here. Now legality states if you have an eye point it has to be used. If not, wrap it around the tow bar. Handbrake is simple enough to use, just press down to disengage and flick up to engage. As you can see, they do come up with a fair bit of force. Then it is with 13-pin electric on the caravan, so if you do have 7-pin, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. Now we're using test equipment today, so I have a red propane gas bottle connected onto that. I have a black gas hose. Now I'd always recommend propane as it has a better performance in winter. Black gas hoses will run for 5 years, orange will run for 10. That connects onto this regulator just here. What you want to do is hand tighten that as much as you physically can and then just nip it up using a spanner. You don't want it ridiculously tight. As you can see on this example, there is an O-ring inside the hose. Too much pressure can cause it to crack and break. Coming along to the other side, starting off first, we have your flue. Your flue is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler when operating on gas. Don't have to do anything with that except make sure it's nice and clean. We have an outlet just there for an external shower point. I've got an acroll here full of clean drinking water and your water pump. Now to remove the pump, just pull out, to engage it in, press in and then press down on the cap to lock it into place. You have this white cap to go over the top of the acroll to ensure no nastiness gets in. And then at the bottom of the pump we have your strainer. That's crucial that the strainer sits at the absolute bottom of the barrel to allow the maximum potential of water to come through. If you don't, you may get a couple of airlocks. Just here we have where your battery sits. Now if you ever want to remove the battery, it's a 12 or 13mm spanner or the battery spanner that comes with it. You have the plug-in for your mains just here, which plugs in nice and simple, and a little cutout there to be able to feed through the mains lead. Motor movers will be gone over on collection. Then you have 2 points here where your wastewater is going to come out of. That's for both your showers and your sink. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipe to feed into a waste master that you can empty out at the appropriate point on site. And lastly, we have your toilet function. So to remove the cassette, press up on the handle, pull out towards you. Now this handle does also extend out and up, so it can be used similar to a carry-on suitcase. And what you want to do is twist this head to the side, open up this cap like so. You then want to tilt, and at the same time as tilting, continually pressing your vent button. As you can see, I've put in some fresh water. The reason that I do that is so that it smells a bit nicer. And you do that by feeding it into this capacity, locking it all back up, shutting it up, and then you just tilt and vent again. Then on this cap here, you have measurements in both imperial and metric. That is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes into there. Twist the cap on like so, twist the head back to the side. You want to push this in so the orange handle sits behind those white teeth so that it can't be removed. Above that we have your flush tank. This can hold around 12 litres of water, however I wouldn't recommend putting in any more than 10 as you don't want to overfill the capacity. You could also add some pink chemical, but don't put any more than a cap full in because otherwise it will just sludge up the entire system. Now you don't want to travel with either of these two full, so just up here, got a little bung to drain off any remaining water. The caravan itself will be fully drained off before you leave with it. Underneath your right hand side seat, you have all of this here, so I won't recommend storing anything under here. You have your boiler just here, which you can pull back this panel if you ever need to do a reset. This grey box is what's called an Alder flow unit, which is continuous hot water. And then you have two yellow drain valves, as you can see just there. So they both have to be facing down as they are now to allow the flow of water to come through. And then when you want to use them, when you want to drain, they both have to be flicked up. So both up to drain, both down to allow water to come through. November to March, have that up permanently unless you're actively using the caravan, and anytime you come off site, give the caravan a drain off. You can then see on this side, you have that button just there, which is your emergency stop button for your EMP legs. You have a solar panel unit just there, and then just down here, we have all of your trips and fuses up like so. I'd always recommend carrying some extra fuses across the van. So underneath your bed, you have a flow jet which is pulling through the water to the onboard tank if you have it selected. So you have this blue handle pulled up and out like this, that is in drain mode, and press it in, and that will allow the water to sit into the actual tank. However, you are going to collect the caravan with this pulled up like so, just so that there's no residual water in the system. Then here we have your main control unit. So you have your main on and off switch just here. You can then cycle through using these two buttons. So we've got settings, which we can enter using this button, and then you can just run through the different things that are set up. Filling the tank. So you've got two options when it comes to a water source. You can either use the onboard tank system situated under the bed, or the actual boiler itself. So you can either go straight from the ack roll to the tap, or the ack roll to the tank, then to the tap. So I'm currently selected on external pump, which is for the ack roll straight to the tap. However, if I press enter, that is then internal pump. However, what I'd have to do first is fill the tank by pressing in the enter button. For today, I'm just going to run everything on external. Internal temperature, it says it's 27 degrees. That may be slightly different from the Alder panel. Leisure battery voltage, which it's around 12.3 at the moment. And then you're back to the front just here. You have a pump button, so we press in that pump. So pump is on. What you then want to do is come over to your taps and open up on both hot and cold. And what you're after is a nice, steady, continuous stream. If there's any coughs and splutters, go outside, double check that the ack roll is full of water, the pump is sat at the bottom of the barrel, and that your drain valves are in the correct position. But what you're after is a nice, steady, continuous stream, just like this. So after around 30 seconds of pulling through the water, you are then set up and ready. However, let's say that you're finished with the water for today, you don't want to use it. What you'll then want to do is, you can see it's just come up with a notification for pump running. What you'll then want to do is press in the pump button to turn it off, and then come over to your drain valves and open it up like so. So I now have both of them up, meaning that they're in drain mode. You then have internal lights, you can see on and off. Awning on, which is for the awning light, and then you can check outside and see that's all on. And what usually helps is when you actually turn on the mains itself. So mains at the moment, we're getting 13.5 volts in. The 12.3 was coming only from the leisure battery. So super simple to use. These two buttons allow you to run through, pump, enter, internal lights, external lights. Then just here we have your Alder control panel. So turn this on using this button just here. It will then flash through the menu screen, and then it will come to this. So right now, this panel says it's 26.5 degrees inside, slightly differs to this one. Press in on menu and you come to this screen just here. So first up, we have the internal temperature of the caravan, what you want it to be set to. So you can either individually tap, or you can press and hold for it to go up or down. Okay, so pressing, you can see it goes down. Next, we have the water temperature. So it's either off as it is now, halfway, which will get it to about 40 or 50 degrees, or full. Now what full does, it will boost the heating of the water for around 30 minutes. After those 30 minutes, it will then drop itself back down to halfway. Now, do be aware that if it's a nice day like today, they will work fairly quickly in around about an hour's time. If it's quite miserable, it may take a bit longer. Then you have your power sources, so you can either use 1, 2 or 3 kilowatts of mains. Now do be aware some sites do not have 3 kilowatts, or gas, or a mixture of both. You then have a setting here linked to the AC to be able to have this set up for the heating onto the actual AC unit itself. You also have an automatic setting, and then you have your additional settings here. So I'm not going to run through these, as we've set this to what we believe the most user-friendly panel to use. However, if you'd like to have a look inside your book packs, then please do so. And to turn this completely off, press in, turns itself off just there. Just here we have your hob, grill and oven. Now all of this operates on gas, so what we've got to do, press in the dial, twist it to the side and press in the igniter. That is apart from the electric plate. Electric plate, just spin it to whatever mark. You also have a button here for the lights on in the oven. Now it may be a case that when you come to use the gas that they will light up and then cut out, or they may take a while to light. That is natural, that is the gas making its way through the system. So all you've got to do, press in, twist to the side. This is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, all burners nice and lit. And it's the same concept for your grill. As you can see, grill all nice and lit. And finally, your oven. Now make sure as well that these trays do not intrude on the igniter. And there you can see all nice and lit. Only other real thing to note, you need to travel with this glass sheet down, but don't put it down until all burners are cold to the touch. And any time that you're travelling with gas, make sure the bottle is turned off. You have an extractor above your cooker, super simple to use. You've got your on button just here, lights on that side, and then we have fan speed. So we can either have it off, first speed, second speed, or max speed, and then turn it off using that button just there. And just here we have your fridge. Now the fridge and freezer have doors that can open from either side. However, what you do have to make sure is that when you're opening from the other side, that you push the pins in all the way. Do not attempt to open the doors using both sides, as it will just take the door off. To turn this on, press and hold in this button. It will flash up and go to its most recent memory, which in this case is mains on full capacity. You can then select the mode just here by pressing the mode button. So we go over to auto. Auto chooses mains as the best source to use. Now when I press it again, it's going to go to that battery symbol. That battery symbol is only representative of 13-pin electric whilst towing. So as you can see, flashes up and beeps. So we'll go over to gas. Now for gas, I'd recommend running through your hob, grill and oven first to make sure that it's all nice and lit. You'll gradually hear it tick in, then once it's finished ticking, that means it's lit. You don't have to do anything with that though. You then have the amount of power coming into the fridge. So 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. 5 being the most powerful, so it's going to chill it the quickest. And as you can see, when the fridge is on, there's lights on inside. Then to turn this off, press and hold in, turns itself completely off. Now, these take around 4 hours to fully chill, and when you come to turn this on, don't turn it on with the door open, as it can cause a hazard for it. So just make sure that the doors are shut first. And just here we have your toilet capacity. So lift up the lid, pressing the button, you can hear that motor. That motor is what will push through any water across the system. And to remove the waste, press away on the handle, opens up the cassette, pull it back towards you to shut it up. When the cassette is full, there'll be a light on there to show you that it needs to be empty.